So as a part of the new patch on the PTR, we have a brand new giant questline involving Arthas. Everything from him being where the Scarlet Monastery currently is, to him claiming frostmourne, becoming the Lich King, and the ultimate battle at the Icecrown citadel that we had previously experienced. Interesting enough, the other two questlines are all super relevant to the current story with Xal'atath and the ethereals, but everyone is wondering what is up with Arthas all of a sudden. What does he have to do with the war within? Well, he may not be coming back as a villain in the next patch. Not only is the story of Lordaeron super relevant for Midnight, but also for Northrend it is insanely relevant. We've learned that the Icecrown citadel has siphoned the essence of the world's soul. Arthas definitely knew something that we still don't know yet. So what is all this new lore? While having the best deals on the market for all games and software, Gamivo just added mobile top-ups for your favorite mobile games with the best prices that you can get with my Gamivo link in the description below. Best of all, if you use my code DORON, your discount will be even bigger, so make sure to use my link in the description and the code and check out Gamivo. So something really strange is going on, as you probably heard all about 11.1.7 by this point, the new Lorewalking scenarios that you are getting, which really, in most cases, seems like filler content, and some would imagine the Arthas part is just nostalgia bait, but it honestly does seem like there is really more to it. So these are not just some random time travel scenarios. The other two we got were absolutely crazy, that you can see in my previous video, where we saw the Warlord Dimensius and Kalesh, and even more importantly, we saw Xal'atath's true form, and it is all a huge setup for the war within. So far, Blizzard has announced 3 different Lorewalking scenarios officially for 11.1.7, one for the ethereals, the other for Xal'atath, and the last one for Arthas. The real question we got though was, what does Arthas possibly have to do with any of this? Because the first two are super relevant to the main storyline, they're building the story itself. I mean, you can watch the previous videos for more details where we learned absolutely crazy things like how Xal'atath warred with the old gods during the Black Empire, how they were the ones that imprisoned her inside a dagger. Then we had the ethereal storyline where we learned about the ethereal elite betraying them, joining Dimensius, and even more interestingly, we learned that those broker guys from the Shadowlands are in fact related to the ethereals, and they seem to now be coming back. So, on top of this, adding the Arthas storyline doesn't make much sense, but I do think this has been done for a reason, and not because Arthas is going to be the new villain of the saga, but I think they might want to tell us something that will possibly be relevant for Midnight and potentially the Last Titan as well. I gotta say, lately, so many strange things and updates have been happening in this upper eastern kingdoms, and we know that this is the focal point of the next expansion. For example, in Season of Discovery just a month or two back, which is supposedly canon lore, we got new Ashbringer lore, some possible retcons, new Scarlet Crusade lore, new characters, and a surprising amount of new storyline, which really does seem to be setting something up in this region. Now, in 11.1.7, we got a brand new Arathi Highland storyline with this new group called the Red Dawn, trying to bring back the old Arathi Empire, and the hints of the new Arathi Empire we discovered coming back to their homeland. Now, in the new Arthas questline, it is seemingly just reliving the Warcraft 3 storyline and Wrath of the Lich King, but they have actually added some new details. We have seen the entire questline so far on the PTR, at least the work in progress. I don't think everything is completely final, but it isn't really much that we haven't seen before. We got Arthas talking with Uther about his duties, where his mentor advises him about his future and the paths that he's going to choose. Then we see Jaina, we're led to the culling of Stratholme, where Lorewalker Joe talks about whether this could have really been prevented or not. We also see the moment where Arthas burns his ships in Northrend, picks up frostmourne, and ultimately kills his father. Lastly, we play as the Lich King himself as he climbs the steps of the Icecrown citadel, and Lorewalker Cho kinda hints that Arthas was never truly destroyed inside when he was the Lich King. Then we get a solo version of the Halls of Reflection campaign, the Alliance version, and we see the final raid and the battle we had against him. Now, seemingly all of this is just old lore we had previously seen, we just relived it now in the game, but we do have some interesting new things they added. For example, you might remember at the start when Arthas was inspecting his troops in the Lordaeron garrison, we learned that this would later become the Scarlet Monastery, not far from the capital city of Lordaeron. We also get a more philosophical view on the culling of Stratholme, which has been a long debated event within the community, and a bit more insight into Arthas' personality. The real question though is, Xal'atath and the ethereals storylines are obviously setting things up for 11.2, which will ramp up this expansion, but what's up with Arthas? And personally, I honestly think this is a big elaborate setup for Midnight, which is only going to be announced within the next few months. I've talked about how quel'thalas likely won't be the only part of Midnight, despite being enlarged, and they slowly but surely made all the zones above this line of the Eastern Kingdoms relevant in this new expansion. They were setting up Illyria's storyline, showing us the destruction of quel'thalas in the War Within cinematic. They had updated Gilneas. There were updates to the Forsaken in their storyline. Recently, new Forsaken assets were added to the game. They just added a new novella and a new questline to the Arathi Highlands, and they added new Lordaeron lore to the Season of Discovery, which is also expanding everything. So one reason is that I think they want players to relive and remember Lordaeron and all the lore that happened here for that reason. Now, interesting enough, there was also zero mention of the jailer in that entire thing, despite the fact that with the new lore, apparently the jailer has been behind this entire thing. Lately, there have also been some hints, I'll mention in a different video, how the entire Shadowlands mechanism was a scam. Plus, at the same time, I honestly think Chris Metzger kind of wants to keep that chapter wrapped up and just not bring up that guy anymore. Interesting enough, on the other hand, wherever we look, it is the Scarlet Crusade. Scarlet. Dragonflight, 2 major questlines involving new Scarlet attacks. Then a whole Scarlet raid in the Season of Discovery. Then a new Red Dawn questline involving the Scarlets. Now the Arthas questline inspecting troops in the Scarlet Monastery. I somehow feel like they're setting up something here with him and the new Arathi humans and old Lordaeron and the entire light fanaticism. In terms of Arthas though, it is hard to say. I mean, according to the lore, his soul was entirely destroyed in the Shadowlands by the end, where he showed up as a wisp, which pretty much anyone can agree was a terrible ending, and ultimately his crown was brought back as the glorious Burger King crown. So unless they do some sort of a wild retcon, I don't think Arthas is coming back. However, this Lorewalking questline is half in Northrend, and Northrend is going to be huge, essentially the finale of this entire saga. I've talked about how the Scourge is definitely going to be relevant again, at least in some way, how we have actual hints that they're still building new undead. They're not as destroyed as a lot of people think they are. Furthermore, I've also talked about how something crazy is definitely going on in Northrend, especially the Icecrown citadel, and they just added a questline there. I know Shadowlands and all, but remember, the jailer was siphoning Azeroth's essence from the Icecrown citadel, and apparently it was Arthas that built this mechanism below the citadel. I really don't think he was capable of drilling that deep in just a decade, and I think he really built the Icecrown citadel on top of some sort of a giant titan mechanism, very likely where the true prison of Azeroth really is. You all know, Northrend is the main titan place on Azeroth. This is where the Keepers ruled from in Ulduar. This is their command center that controls all the machinery that is all over Azeroth. There are also a bunch of places related to the titans all over Northrend, and recently, with a new book about Icecrown, we learned that there is a giant underground network in Northrend that we had never before seen. So the point is, I don't think they're really bringing Arthas back and that the Lich King is going to be the new villain of the next patch or anything of the sort, but I do think this is sort of a quick refresher, a quick storyline to bring us back to speed about Lordaeron and Northrend, which are both going to be relevant in both Midnight and the Last Titan. Same thing with the other two storylines. The first one really just shows Xal'atath being in prison. It's not that we're getting Yasharaj back, but it's a quick look into what really happened in the past so that we are prepared for what is going to happen soon. Also, the same can be said about the ethereals and us just getting a quick glimpse into what is going on with them and Kavesh. Plus, I think the brokers being confirmed to be returning now is also relevant to the Shadowlands and that entire mechanism in Shadowlands, Northrend, and everything that is connected to that. Honestly though, I just hope they don't butcher or retcon Arthas once again, and I really hope something cool can be done based on his storyline. Thanks for watching. Check out how the Light Emperor seems to be coming back for his land in the Eastern Kingdoms with the new questline by clicking on the screen, and check out my history channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.